Foi aqui um momento impactante que tivemos. Thank you so much, Professor Gunter Pauli, for your thought-provoking and inspiring ideas. Your perspective on redefining competitive rules through innovative business models remind us of the immense potential we have to create sustainable and regenerative futures. It was an honor to hear from you. Muito obrigada e, sobretudo, não só pelas palavras, mas também penso que pelas imagens impactantes. Costumamos dizer coração que não vê, coração que não sente, e tenho a certeza que aqui nesta sala todos os nossos corações pulsaram. Ao encerrar, é verdade, estamos quase a encerrar este dia extraordinário, esta sessão final, que reflete a essência do Innovators Forum, a jornada rumo a um futuro verdadeiramente circular. O nosso último orador é alguém cuja visão e a liderança têm sido fundamentais na concretização de iniciativas realmente transformadoras. Como Chairman da Sonae da Fundação Belmiro de Azevedo, tem defendido incansavelmente a integração da sustentabilidade nas estratégias empresariais, inspirando as organizações a colocarem a inovação e o impacto como os pilares centrais do seu crescimento. Peço-vos agora uma salva de palmas para Paulo Azevedo. Paulo, bem-vindo.
Good afternoon, everyone. Is this loud enough? They asked me to speak as loudly as I could. Well, basically my job here is to thank everyone. And I'd like to start by thanking the team that organized this, the whole team, but particularly Sonia and Danielle. I don't see Danielle. But also all the speakers, all the moderators, our marvelous hostess, Katerina, all the partners that are here with their presenting their services and their products. And it's wonderful that you're all interested and that you spent your afternoon here discussing circular economy, which is a really, really important subject. Sonia also asked me to try and help with the goals of, announced by Claudia, namely to inspire everyone to do more, to innovate more, and to find out more circular solutions. And it's difficult because I think all the speakers today did a really good job and touched upon everything. My goal was basically to convince you of four things. One is that moving to a circular economy is not optional. Circularity is critical to sustainability, so that we don't have the option. We have to do it. The second thing, it is a very large and difficult task for everyone, for governments, for legislators, for regulators, for regional and global authorities, for entrepreneurs, companies, and individuals, for everyone. As it was said today, we are the economy. The third thing is that I really believe and know that we will pull through all the difficult sustainability targets that we have. I mean, as a species. We've done it before in the past, and we will do it, and we will do it again. The real question is, can we do it in a smart way with as little human suffering and the little suffering of nature as possible? And the fourth thing, like with all profound changes of societies, this will bring about a huge number of opportunities. Short-term, medium-term, and long-term opportunities. And a lot of us work in companies, and if we work in companies, this is something you should be happy about. Okay, this is where value gets generated, when innovation really pays off. But these four things, I think this case was made very competently, each one of them, throughout all the presentations. So it's difficult, but I'll have a go anyway. And I'll have a go in a perspective which is slightly different. I have a different hat, other than the chair of Sonae. By the way, I'm not chair of the Belmiro de Azevedo Foundation. I'm CEO. My mother is is a chairwoman, very important chairwoman. Yeah, so I help the University of Porto, namely the Faculty of Economics, the Faculty of Science, and one of its research institutes, which is Biopolis CBU, a research institute on biodiversity. I help them set up a research and dialogue center looking at long-term sustainable scenarios where the socioeconomic systems are compatible with the Earth system. Very forward-looking, very transdisciplinary. And to do that, we look at the evolutionary perspective of this problem. We look at it in the scale of the history of our species. And you may well ask, why do we do that? Well, the reason is because it gives us a good perspective on the magnitude of the challenge ahead of us, because it brings us confidence that we have done more difficult things in the past, and we hope that we can learn from the past solutions that will help us build the future. And so I've sort of packed together a lot into a slide here that I wanted to show you. And really, in biological terms, the success of a species is very much measured by the ability to expand the ecological niche of that species. That is, the habitat in which we can live and prosper. And all species try to do that, and we were amazing at doing that. We went global, and there's almost 8 billion of us. So from a biological perspective, that's success. It brings a lot of problems, but it's success. And there are two key successful indicators that have allowed this to go on for a long time. One is that we've always found solutions to cooperate in ever larger groups and expand our collective ability to do things. What we can do as individuals is minuscule compared to what we can do as a species. And the second key success factor has some unfortunate consequences, is we were always able to somehow find ways to extract per capita more energy, use a greater part of our planet, and extract more raw materials. Now, this has happened, but during that time, I have two arrows there. One is the level of organization, the band, tribe, chiefdom, state, and then above state. And below that is what's usually called the mode of living. And it's called the mode of living because in each one of these stages, what we did, I mean, almost everyone did, had to change significantly. We're all hunter-gatherers. We became practically all farmers. Then we became practically industrial workers. So actually, it means changing everything. You change what every single person does, what their life is like. And you change on the level above, you change the scale of your organization. So we've always had big challenges, and we've always had to change everything to make them pay off. And unfortunately, because it's difficult, this is the scale of the challenge that we have in front of us. And there's an additional problem, is that these three arrows, which I sometimes call arrows of time, they're not true arrows of time. Of course, the only true arrow of time is entropy, the only thing that never goes backwards. But these, when you look at this scale, all these three kept growing: energy, land use, and raw material extraction. And we've spoken a lot about today how this has led to breaking safe operating spaces, a number of planetary boundaries. And so it's game over. We can't play the same game. We have to change even the way that we win. And circularity is really, really key to this. First, because of the raw material limitations. And I like this graph. This is a European graph, because I like to think if we only recycle 7%, what happens to everything else? Where does it go? And here you can see that it basically goes to two places: to pollution, air pollution, or landfills, or the ocean. Those are the bits that are not exported. And the rest goes to societal stocks, but everything, all the stuff that we have, all this around us, buildings, roads, cars, all the stuff that we own, it's just stuff that we build. It's not living stuff. We just extract and have more and more and more stuff. Most people know the problems of emissions, the tons of plastics in the sea, the air pollution, the water pollution, the microplastics, the use of land with landfills. But sometimes, less often, it's known that these societal stocks, which is also called the technosphere, what the scale it has accelerated to in the last 50 years. And today, our stuff weighs more than the entire biomass on our planet, the biosphere, the place where life exists that we know of. There's more stuff that we make than biomass in the biosphere. So, sometimes it's difficult to know for sure if some of these very complicated models that plan out the boundaries are really true. It's easy for skeptics to say, well, they calculated it 2 years ago, it was different. But there's some really, really obvious things that, no one can deny. It's like, you know that 96% of the weight of mammals on this planet are either humans or the livestock, food for us. The rest of all wild mammals on the planet are less than 4%. How far can it go? There are some really, really hard limitations. And to make matters more central for the circular economy, going back to this slide, what we do with raw materials and our current model is also creating huge problems that are compiling with the problems of energy use and land use. So making a lot of the materials we use, concrete, steel, aluminium, glass, it's all very energy intensive. And of course, if we recycle, it's much, much less energy intensive. And energy also requires more space. We have to fill up valleys with dams. We need space for solar panels. We need space for nothing can be done without space. And land use is a limitation. Farming and cropland has pushed us to an extreme where wilderness is also pushed to a corner of the earth, a third of the earth, and a lot of it in not so productive areas for biodiversity. And all this, so the problem with extracting and using raw materials and not recycling them is not just contributing to the raw material problems, it's contributing to the energy and to the land use problems. So we really, really have to solve it. And it is a really, really big effort. And this is a very complicated chart, but not necessary to be complicated. It's just, my goal here is just to explain we understand a lot of the current problems. We are looking at a lot of attempts, and there's lots of opportunities, and there's lots of things that need to be done in solving, adapting, mitigating the problems that we are currently creating. But we also know that this is a transformational problem for society, and we have to understand how we're going to solve the problem in the long run. What are the factors that we can play with to come up with a new organization for society, for economic systems? And so we work a lot on that as well. But in that section, the only thing I want to bring forth to you, because it's a source of a lot of hope for me, is that we look at evolutionary psychology to understand how human populations manage to get all these cultural traits that enable them to solve all these problems. And the really good thing is the cultural traits that our species has an ultra-social species, are just the traits that we need to solve the problem. you can easily argue that maybe we don't quite yet have enough of these cultural traits to act decisively and with intent at a global scale, but we do have them, so we just have to improve on them. This picture is called the pale blue dot, and it was quite influential. The first time we saw our planet from a very, very, very long distance, as the Voyager flew out of the Milky Way and took a photograph back with us and the center of the Milky Way, and it just sort of makes us realize, you know, there may be life somewhere, but there's a hell of a lot of empty space around us. We don't have a lot of choices than fixing this problem. And to make it worse, this is a picture of the atmosphere. This is the only place where we can live. It's a few kilometers thick. If you think of that, it's proportionally is thinner than an apple skin. If you imagine the world was the size of an apple, so we live in this immense, open, empty place on the skin of an apple, and we're ruining it. So it has to be fixed. It's quite a finite space. It's our job to do that, and there's nowhere else we can go. And just to finish up, I think we can't. There's not much we can do about a physical law that is amongst the most solid of all physical laws that we know, and that nothing is lost and nothing is created. It's all transformed. So I think our plea is got to be, let's stop transforming it into pollutants and into waste, and transform it into useful stuff. Let's use less. Yes, I know we're a retailer, and I do realize that I'm saying buy less. That's all right. We want to win in a sustainable world. We don't want to win in an unsustainable world. So yes, buy less, use less, preferably buy even less from our competitors, but buy less. Reuse and recycle. I think one of the things I really I heard clearly today is you have to have a priority. Recycling is not the first goal. It should be the last goal. Unfortunately, even the last goal we're not so good at, but we have to work before the recycling. And yes, let's be part of this journey. Let's lead the way to the circular economy, and let's do it with the optimism that it is possible, but also the knowledge that it's hard, it's a tough challenge that will need our ability to innovate, to create, to find new solutions, and just push ahead. Thank you very much for you all being here and your time dedication to this subject.
Queria agradecer ao Paulo, muito obrigada pelas palavras, por esta partilha que nos toca, por percebermos que o tempo é o agora, por percebermos que, de facto, realmente devemos ser realistas, sim, mas realistas otimistas. E eu penso que todos os que estamos aqui o somos. De outra forma, não haveria aqui esta união, nem este pulsar que se sentiu nesta sala ao longo desta tarde. Queria agradecer ainda as palavras, porque estas palavras que ouvimos reforçam a importância do esforço coletivo para construirmos um futuro mais sustentável, que é o que todos devemos ambicionar, no fundo. O Innovators Forum mostrou-nos hoje que a circularidade não é apenas uma visão distante, mas sim uma realidade que está ao alcance de todos nós. Agora, cabe-nos a nós transformar essas ideias e aquilo que ouvimos em ações concretas, muitas delas já tomadas, dentro das nossas empresas, das nossas comunidades nas nossas vidas diárias. Foi um privilégio da minha parte poder partilhar este dia convosco e com oradores tão especiais e com participantes tão empenhados e tão atentos como vocês. Eu estou certa que, com a determinação, com a colaboração certa, vamos continuar a inspirar, vamos poder inovar e vamos, sobretudo, impactar. Esta é uma excelente oportunidade para explorar ideias e potenciais colaborações e, por isso, antes de terminarmos, eu quero convidar-vos, já estão a perceber que está a haver aqui movimentações, convidar-vos ao nosso cocktail, onde poderão descontrair, onde poderão trocar contactos, trocar impressões e visitarem com mais calma, agora sim, os nossos stands físicos e virtuais dos nossos parceiros que representam as várias áreas de mercado, mas todos eles com um objetivo comum: fazer parte de um futuro circular. Muito obrigada mais uma vez a todos os presentes, bem como aos que assistem e assistiram virtualmente a este Innovators Forum Circularity Powered by Sonae. Da minha parte foi uma honra. Até breve. Boa tarde.